Joining us live now is the National Senator Matt Canavan. Tom Tate there, he's like a dog with a bone. Matt, how do you feel about the Commonwealth Games going back to the Gold Coast?
Yeah, I love Tom Tate. He definitely does stand up for the Gold Coast very strongly, and good on him for trying to get something done here, because I just don't want to see a situation where in the long term Australia's blamed for the end of the Commonwealth Games. I mean, this is a really serious issue now with just over 2 years left to host the Games. We need someone to come forward here. Now, this is Daniel Andrews' fault, make no doubt about it. He is both Judas and Pontius Pilate here. He both betrayed the Commonwealth Games Federation with his promise that he backed out of, and now he's washing his hands of it and not helping at all with a solution. But I hope the Prime Minister doesn't also be Pontius Pilate here. It's not his fault. It's not Anthony Albanese's fault. They're in this mess. But let's try and fix it. Let's try and take a leaf out of Tom Tate's book here and try and put something on for the world, because someone has got to step up, otherwise the Commonwealth Games dies. So let's get behind the Gold Coast. They've got the infrastructure. They want to do it. And we've got $380 million to play with, or the Commonwealth Games Federation does. Let's get on with it.
Well, Annika Wells seems keen on it. It's just that the Queensland government isn't, because obviously it's going to have to stump up some cash there as well. So wouldn't this be on Anastasia Palaszczuk now?
Well, look, I can understand the Queensland government's dilemma here. They've got an Olympics to host in just 9 years' time, so that is obviously their prime concern. I'm not so sure it necessarily would cost them money. As I say, we've got $380 million from Daniel Andrews, and I'm here in Bendigo. It's unfortunate for the Victorian taxpayers that they've got to cough up for that, for his mistakes. But that's sitting there now in the bank. The federal government would have provided some money to Victoria. We heard in the business case yesterday that that was estimated to be about $215 million, possibly to come from the Commonwealth government. So there is some funding there, and maybe, as Tom Tate said yesterday, maybe we need to look at scaling back the Games a little bit, given the time we've got now, the limited time we've got to plan it. But I'm sure for a few $100 million we can put on an event that the world can be proud of, that maintains this great event. And keep in mind here the other national interest here. This is a really important event for our Pacific Island neighbours. They often don't get to compete in the Olympics because they struggle to meet the qualification requirements for such a big event. They do, of course, the Fijis, the Vanuatus do send lots of athletes to a Commonwealth Games, and so it would be a great missed opportunity if we weren't to continue this Commonwealth Games, which binds us together with our partners in this region.
Okay, Alan Joyce under heavy questioning yesterday, Matt. There's also this claim by Stephen Jones that Qatar Airways was blocked from extra flights to Australia to help keep Qantas profitable, to help keep it afloat. Is that the government's role, though?
Well, it's not. And Stephen Jones, I think, said the quiet bit out loud here, that the modern Labor Party are effectively in bed with the big business of this country. They're doing that in the Yes case. They no longer look after the worker or the people who are just trying to pay for airline flights. They're very, very comfortable in the major boardrooms looking after the big profits of big business companies. But you had to do that for Qantas during the pandemic, Tony Sheldon. Well, yeah, that I was about to say, like Tony Sheldon, he's unfortunately a dying breed. My colleague from New South Wales, the Labor Senator, he took it up to Alan Joyce yesterday, and he represents proudly the workers in the Transport Workers Union. Unfortunately, the movers and shakers in his government, like Anthony Albanese, just seem to do whatever Qantas wants. They just do their bidding. And I think Qantas's testimony yesterday was effectively, well, we might be crap, but we're not as bad as the other oligopolist in the market and Virgin. And this is just not good enough for the long-suffering Australian consumer here who's paying through the roof for airline prices. In my view, Qantas's shameless lobbying over the Qatar Airways debacle has lost them any benefit of the doubt. We need to get in real competition in this aviation market. We need to open up those slots in the Sydney airport, and we need to make sure that these big businesses don't get away with ripping off Australian consumers and making big, big profits at the expense of us all.
Okay. As Alan Joyce said, I mean, they do have the option of going to other airports in the country, though. Could they not just do that?
Well, look, this is an application that obviously Qatar wants to do for their business, obviously. I don't think it's right to preference one airline company here over another. Qantas is trying to make a national interest argument here, but of course it doesn't often fly past Dubai, or it doesn't use its own planes off it. It has a relationship with Emirates, another government-owned corporation there in the Middle East. Qatar has a relationship with Virgin, and the government's decision here to block Qatar has effectively benefited one major airline player in this country over another. There's a lot of stench here about what the hell has gone on with this decision. Apparently all the government departments recommended the Qatar application be approved. The government can't seem to get its story straight on why it was denied. Why does the government seem to just do whatever big businesses want in this country? Why isn't it looking after the average worker and customer in this nation who is just paying too much, paying way too much for airline prices right now? You can see that in Qantas profits. You can see that every time you go and book a flight online. We need more competition. We need to get serious here. And our aviation laws should not be written by Alan Joyce, by Qantas. They should be written in our national interest, which this government is not doing right now.